Hi, I'm Carrie. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a mid-year update. We're going to touch on my tarot practice, my word of the year, my favorite deck so far this year, how my low buy year is going, and anything else I choose to throw into this. And I'm going to try to keep it no longer than like 30 minutes. So my word of the year was simplify. And back in December or January, I did a whole video about my word of the year, how it came about and everything. And honestly, this word is perfect for how I've been feeling and what I've been trying to adopt in my life. Have I been perfect at it? Absolutely not, which we'll get to with the low buy year. However, there are other things in my life that I have simplified that have really made a big difference. But one of the most significant things in regards to the word simplify was me stripping away my tarot practice down to nothing and figuring out what it is I really wanted to do with my practice anymore. You have to realize I started my practice back when I was like 27, 28 years of age. I am 54 now. So what is that, 26 years, something like that, or roughly 26 years I have had some sort of tarot practice. I was completely exhausted and exasperated with my entire tarot practice. And in my videos at the beginning of the year, I don't think I called it tarot burnout. Everybody was doing videos about tarot burnout at that time. And I didn't want to call it that because I wasn't exactly sure what was causing it. There had to be a reason after having a practice for 26 years that all of a sudden I was exhausted with it. And when I really sat and I thought about it, the bottom line comes down to the consumption of tarot, period. Consumption of the videos I was watching about tarot, the groups I was in about tarot, the followers on other social media platforms that surrounded nothing but tarot, trying to adopt things into my practice from other people's practice around tarot, trying to do challenges and deck studies and keep up with my own practice and deck purchasing, and all of it became overwhelming. It was just overwhelming when I was looking at everything as a whole. And then I started to think about, well, my practices never felt this way before. They never felt overwhelming. I never felt exhausted from doing tarot. And when I started looking back to the beginning, it's because I used to let my practice ebb and flow in a natural cycle. I didn't do tarot to the point that it ruled my life in any way, which it doesn't now. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. And I didn't do it sometimes on a daily basis. I would sometimes do it, a lot for months at a time, and then I would back off from it naturally, and then I would come back and do more readings, one after another, and then I would back off of it naturally, and I didn't have a structure, and I just let things flow as they wanted to flow. And I didn't put parameters around myself, and I didn't feel like I was missing out if I didn't participate in something, and I just let it be what it was. And I thought a lot about that, of how I didn't force my practice to be or fit any certain perspective of what I thought it needed to be. And there were times I didn't practice tarot at all. And I didn't overthink about, oh my God, I hate tarot now, I'm not doing tarot. I had so much other stuff going on in my life, raising a baby and, just doing other things. I didn't have time for tarot. And I didn't beat myself up over it, and I just let it be what it was. And then I came back to tarot naturally when I had time and I was ready and in the right headspace. And then I started wondering, why am I putting so much pressure on myself now when I didn't do that back then? I stepped away from it, and I was okay from stepping away from it. And when I was ready to sit down and, pull a card or do whatever, I did it. And I didn't feel like I had to meet any expectations or needs. It was just what felt right at the time. So I took everything away from my practice, and I've slowly been building things up. And when I looked back at my journal for these 6 months, this is all I've done in my journal for 6 months. Last year's journal, I was completely out of. I had to add tip-ins in to finish out the year because I was trying to cram so many things into my journal, so many things into my practice that didn't really do anything for me. So the most I've done in my practice have been this month in July, and the month that I did the chakra work for the entire month and looking into the aspects of my chakra. Now, I am still doing tarot each month. I still use decks. I still do some sort of card pulls, but it may not be weekly. It may not be daily. It may be a couple big readings, and I'm good with that. And I'm just seeing what feels right, and I'm seeing what fits in and what I'm missing. That was another reason I took everything away. I really wanted to see what I was missing. And I'm 6 months now, and I'm starting to miss doing some moon practices. But I don't know if I want to do them monthly. So I need to navigate that and feel it out and see where I want to add it in, or if I want to fully add it back in at all. So that's kind of where things are with my practice as a whole. The things I've been enjoying most in this past 6 months are the Omen days. And I've talked about those in every single monthly wrap up. But if you don't watch those, I'll briefly, and I mean briefly, talk about it. It was where it started on December 26th, I believe. December 26th until January 6th, those 12 days. And you pay attention to what's going on in nature, how you're feeling, what happens throughout the day. You can pull cards that day, and that is predicting your month ahead. I have enjoyed that so much. And these omens have been so accurate. Okay, so here's 1 month. December 31st represents June. And what I noticed was the weather was cold. It was gray. It was eerily quiet. The card I picked was poison. Meant like dealing with toxic situations. The color was magenta. That was another deck that I used. I can't remember the name of it right now. Connect to deeper knowing. I pulled some playing cards. It was a no month, but it was really going to be focused on business, but I felt restless. There was a difficulty with balance or a difficulty with health. Okay, so what ended up occurring, which on December 31st, I had no idea this was going to happen, was in the month of June, I had to have some health testing done. One of it was routine and the other one was not, because I was having some issues. I never expected that this health testing was going to occur. I ended up having to have a biopsy, and they wanted to see what was going on. And I was worried about that for the longest time until I got my results, which was just a few weeks ago, which it turned out to be negative. So, that was a really good thing. But yeah, the fact that, health had come up, and that's exactly what happened, was all this testing and these doctor visits came up for me in the month of June. Like, that's what I mean. It's been just freaky on the accurate side of things. So that has been a practice that I've been enjoying immensely, and I am definitely going to be continuing this on into 2025 when the time comes. So, but anyway, back to the word simplify. Yes, this has really been an important word in my year. My husband and I have done some purging and getting rid of some things, and I've been donating a lot to a local shelter, and that brings me around to the low buy year. I am done. I'm done. I'm not talking about low buy anymore. It's not going to be in my vocabulary anymore. I know the space that I have. I know what can fit where. I need to just stop and not worry about what I'm bringing in, as long as I stay within my budget. Don't put us in any kind of financial constraints of any kind. I know what I can do and what I can afford and what fits in my space. So I'm done talking about low buy. That is a practice that is ending. I don't care about it anymore. It's done. It's over. Bye-bye. That's what I have to say about that. I'm just sick of it because it doesn't put me in the right headspace. Every time a deck comes in, then I start going, oh my God, what about my low buy? I'm done. I don't need that kind of stress in my life. Talking about simplify, that's something that is completely out of here. I have tried to be very conscious of my overthinking, and if I start spiraling, I try to redirect myself onto something else. And especially when I start recalling conversations from the past and that sort of, I worked very hard this year to, let some of that go. So I think the word simplify was the right word to choose. I'm also in my death year with the death card. And have changes been occurring? Yeah, I guess so. There's been some small things. I've had to let go of some ideas of that I wanted to do, things that I was hoping that could come about this year. And, I've had to come to peace or come to terms with that, and, let some of that go. The things that have really been the most impactful is the Emperor with the control. The Four of Cups, fighting that restless boredom energy. The Four of Pentacles, security, insecurity, overspending, that sort of thing. I really need to do some work, shadow work around abundance and the lack of mindset. That has really been in the forefront. So I'm going to maybe look at doing some sort of spread to investigate where I know where it comes from in my past a little bit, but that's something that needs explored. I haven't really had that Four of Swords moment where I've needed rest or quiet or anything like that. And for Four of Wands, for the reverse Four of Wands, I have feeling invisible and not heard. And that has been really in the forefront for me, especially for like the past couple months. It's been something that is plaguing me in my life. So the death card as a whole, yes, a little bit that's been relevant, but a lot of the four energy has been relevant for me so far this year. So my practice as a whole has been on the minimal side, and I'm okay with that. I am still journaling. I never show my journal on here anymore. Someone said that to me. They asked me if I journaled, and they said, I never see your journal on your channel. I quit showing my journal because I write about some really personal things in here. And I think I've talked about that in another video. If I'm having issues or conflict with another person or something like that, I put it in here, and I mean, a he said, she said kind of thing, kind of reading with names and everything. So I'm not going to show that kind of stuff on my channel. But yes, I am still journaling. I tried to do the prep ahead journaling. It's okay. I prefer the journaling where I'm drawing or, adding things as I go. So that was something that I learned about myself as far as that goes. But yes, I still do a journal. So let's talk about my top 5 decks of the year so far. The decks that I chose are all tarot, which shocked me because I'm a big oracle user, but I have noticed since January, I have done more with tarot than I have with oracle. And that shocked me in itself. So the decks that I chose were either something that I just loved and I didn't want to put down or stop working with, or I thought it was going to work for me in one way and it shocked me and worked for me in a completely different way. So the first deck I'm going to show, and I'm going to show it very quickly because I just talked about this in the month of June, and that is the Great Outdoors Tarot. I never expected this deck to be anything, really. I thought it was just going to be this little tiny deck of my practice that I may do 1 or 2 readings with, and I probably wouldn't do anything with it again. That's honest to God what I thought after I got it in. And after doing a deck study with it and reading with it, this deck shocked me almost as much as another deck I'm going to show. But I really do enjoy it. I think it has a lot to offer. And even though the suits are more numerical, and especially the sword suit in this deck is so different than the swords in any other tarot deck. I still read it with that traditional, a little bit of that traditional meaning to it, but I really pay attention to what is going on the cards and add that in, because that is what makes the most impact in my readings with this deck, is really noticing what is happening on the cards. So that is the first deck. The second deck that has made the biggest impact in my practice or on me for the first 6 months this year is the Morgan Greer. Do you see my poor Morgan Greer? And how I have to have it in the cupboard because if I don't, they all come flying out. The thing about this deck is I was very hesitant and very resistant to get this deck. Yellow is not my favorite color. It's my mom's favorite color. I'm not fond of the color yellow. And there's so much yellow in this deck, it kills me. But this deck is so good. It is such a solid reader. And I found, like, when my girlfriend would come up, we try to get together once a month, and when she would come up and I would say, oh, let me go get a deck, I would come back with this one. 98% of the time, this is the deck I would come back to throw cards and do a reading with. Even when I would stand in front of my cupboard and I would look and like, no, what deck am I going to pick? It was the Morgan Greer that I would pick. This is the deck that I used with my husband and with some of his true crime podcasts and that sort of thing. and really enjoyed doing that with him and bonding with him in that way using this deck. This has been my go-to deck for some odd reason in the hundreds of tarot that I have at my fingertips. This tried and true Morgan Greer is the one that I've been pulling out. And this is also the deck for the Super Bowl that I did. And I pulled this deck out and I did a whole reading between the two teams and, who was going to be the winner and that. It was the Morgan Greer that I went to. So, yeah, this has been shocking how much I've used this deck so far in 2024 with its rubber band and all. The next deck that shocked me is the Aquarian Tarot. This shocked me to death, actually, because if you recall, and I can't remember which video that was, I briefly showed this in one of my wrap-up videos as a new deck that I had got in, and I'd said how cold and uninviting this deck felt, and I really didn't know how I was going to use it, what I was going to do with it, or how it was even going to read for me, because I felt no connection to it, no draw to it, or I didn't even want to pick it up, honestly, after I took it out and saw it in person and flipped through the deck. To my surprise, this deck is such a good reader. I used this deck in the month of July to do power statements for members, which I will talk about in my wrap up, and to do some readings for members with this deck. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was shocked how much I enjoyed it, honestly. And it has me wanting to get that other tarot. What is it called? Oh my gosh. What is it called? Is it the Palladini Tarot? Is that what it's called? Because I know that he does I believe the artwork for this. Is that correct? Yeah, deck created by David Palladini. And that other deck has a lot more colorization to it. So I'm thinking that I would like to add that tarot in also as the more vibrant, I guess, side of the Aquarian Tarot. It's my thoughts anyway, but this deck has truly shocked and surprised me, and I'm really glad that I have it now. The next tarot that has been very impactful in my practice is the Modern Love Tarot by Ethany. I know this is older. I did not get it when it first came out. I didn't pick this up until February of this year, and this, oh my God, I love this deck. I love this deck so much, and it's been great when I used it a little bit for prepping for some mediumship readings, because again, I don't use cards in my mediumship face-to-face readings, but I will prep ahead of time just to get a feel for the reading. It's been great in doing readings for clients. It's just been fabulous. I love this. So I don't know why I waited so long. I honest to God don't. I like to read this deck intuitively. And when I say intuitively, sure, I bring in the basis of the meanings, but the rest of it, I just go with the flow of whatever I'm seeing. And this deck is fantastic, absolutely fantastic to read intuitively. And I couldn't see myself not having this in my collection now, because this is just so good. So good, and I love everything about it. And the last deck that actually surprised me of how much I enjoy it, and that's the Fifth Spirit Tarot. I picked this deck up last year, and I did some readings with it, and I enjoyed the readings that I did with it. But I did this few little readings, and then I kind of just, I tucked it away. But I've really been using it quite a bit, especially since I got in the Carolyn Myss archetype cards. On my channel this month, I did a pick a card reading using the Carolyn Myss archetype cards, and I paired it with this deck. And off camera, this deck and that pairing blew me away. I mean, it really blew me away. And I want to explore using this deck and that deck together more, because when I was doing some readings for myself with those two decks, or these two decks together, it was really powerful. So the reason this surprises me is because I am not a pip deck person. I like heavily illustrated decks. That's what I'm drawn to. That's what I like. And this, of course, is on the more pip style side of things, even though they have a little bit more to them than like your standard just 4 swords on a card. I can't get over how much I still get from the images, even though it's in that minimalistic style. So I am enjoying this immensely. It's become a gem in my tarot cabinet that I am definitely going to look to pull more often for different things. But man, with that archetype deck, oh, it's like a chef's kiss. So this is another one that really shocked and surprised me, and has been getting quite a bit of use in my practice. So one more thing I want to mention before I end this video is, in the month of August, I would like to, I guess I'm going to call it a deep dive, but just explore, I guess, the Ehrenberg Tarot. And I'm looking for those that want to go ahead and do it with me. So I have a Discord channel that I'm like brand new to. There's only a couple of us on the channel that's on the channel with me. I don't post on there a lot. I'm just trying to get my feet wet with it and everything. But I do have a section set up for deck studies. And I would really like to take the month of August, probably into the first week of September, and read the guidebook and look at the cards and talk about them with anyone else who would like to participate in that. I'm not real strict on my deck studies. I just want people to participate in it. I mean, it's nothing heavy. It's basically just, reading the guidebook, giving our thoughts to one another about whatever suit that we're on for that week. Maybe coming up with some spreads or games, or I don't know, something along those lines. So if you would like to do that with me, I'm going to put my Discord channel link in the description box below. And even if there's just a couple of us that want to do it, I think that's fine. And you can, like I said, check that out and play along with me. But I really want to look at this deck and see how it may change the meanings for me with the close-up of the cards instead of that faraway image. And can I say this? I hate this card. I hate it. I don't like feet. Maybe it's just me and I have the problem, but I wish this would be something different, or at least put shoes on him. I don't know. Or something like that. But anyway, so if you happen to be interested in that, please click the link to the Discord in the description box below and, play along with me in the month of August and explore the Ehrenberg Tarot. So let me know what has been going on in your practice in the past 6 months. Have you felt things change? Is there things you brought in or quit doing or whatever you want to feel like sharing with me? I'd love to hear it. What are your top 5 decks so far this year? I'd love to hear that too. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. And until I see you next time, bye.